arts and events. Well, some of you viewers out there have a child who is going to be heading off to college, and the planning process comes in very far in advance. Some people think, oh, maybe the spring of my child's senior year. No, you need to plan well ahead of that. And one of the people here in the Fresno area who helps families plan is a man by the name of Scott Carl. Scott, welcome to the show.
Hi, Hope. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you know what, Scott? I can't begin to thank you enough because you helped me through this very daunting process. And as some parents start to walk into this whole process of planning for their child's college, education and the ins and outs, it's a great deal of planning. And one of the shows I do is called Weddings and Celebrations, and people plan for weddings, but people also need to plan to have their child go through that whole process of what it means to apply for college and getting their finances together. So this is your wheelhouse in helping those families do that, especially those families who may need some of that extra financial help along the way. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is basically, how did you get into this whole college planning space?
Well, I've been a financial representative since 1994, and it has been brought to my attention many times with prospective clients and clients that this big college expense is looming. How do we approach this, Scott? What's the best way to pay for this life event that's coming their way? And so I've got many inquiries in that subject. So I took a deeper dive and did some research on what colleges are looking for, how do they size up a family's assets and cash flow, and determine what their expected family contribution is. And so that was a big part of it. And again, it's part of my wheelhouse, as you said, is preserving my clients' wealth. And college is going to be, or will be, one of the major purchases a family makes. And if they have two or three children, oh my gosh, right?
Right.
So that's how I integrated it in my practice.
And one of the things, too, that I'd like for you to address, because I fell into this category as well as a single parent, and if you are that single parent that is financing, and or let's say you are that parent and you have been remarried, but you are the one that is paying for the college education, there's some ins and outs and loopholes there, too. Can you enlighten the viewers a little bit about that as well, because that really does affect many people in today's world?
Absolutely. Everyone's got a unique circumstance, and that's why we provide a free consultation with prospective clients and people who attend our workshops and webinars to get a better understanding of their unique circumstances. So we have an approach that we take the strategy that's a good fit for each individual and walk them through each step of the way. So a single mom, for an example, has limited money supply and assets, and then their student is performing well or average or not so good in high school. And so there could be resources provided to the student to improve their position in looking as best as they can in the eyes of the colleges when they start to submit their applications. So there's a lot of financial aid opportunity to grab by student positioning when they're going through high school. And for the single parent, or it really doesn't matter for married couples, single families, or single mothers, or what have you. Our approach is the same. We want to identify common financial mistakes people make with their money,
Right.
and then work with what they have. You don't have to have a certain amount of assets to work with us. We know you have a finite amount of money, and we want to examine strategies to get that money to work as hard as possible and efficiently. And so there's education behind financial planning in there as well. But then there's that element of getting your child position to attract that free money from merit-based scholarships, because that has no bearing on the family's income,
Right.
what the child could get from college.
Exactly. And one of the words we hear is FAFSA, right? And
Yeah.
this is the one. It's like people say, well, what is FAFSA and what does FAFSA really do? Can you talk a little bit and address for the viewers about FAFSA?
Yeah, it took me a couple of years to learn how to say that.
Say it fast
The-
10
the
times,
F and
right?
the S. But you're right. It's a very important piece of the process. No matter how wealthy you are or how not so wealthy you are, you want to go through the FAFSA process, the application process. You go to studentaid.gov, and that's the FAFSA mothership website that no matter where your child is in high school, or in grades or what have you, or your net worth, your family's net worth, you want to submit your FAFSA timely. This year was a mess.
Yes.
And I won't get into that for the lack of time.
Yeah.
But usually
I understand.
October 1st is usually when the gun goes off, where the application gates open in the FAFSA website. And that's the senior year. Your child's in high school is when that needs to be completed in October, the child's senior year. And this way, once you complete it accurately and dot your I's and cross your T's, this will enable you to apply for less expensive loans and other financial aid opportunities. But if you just go in like a walk-on and not do the FAFSA, you're going to be treated like a stranger in the eyes of the colleges in most cases. So
Right.
you don't want to pass up the FAFSA.
Exactly. You know, Scott, there are many companies out there that say, well, I can help you with your child's college planning. But, you know, I have had experience working with you directly as well, and just really happy in the whole process. You really walked me through, like I said, what was a very daunting experience, and I thank you for that. But truly, what sets your services above the others? What separates you from the rest of the pack?
Well, the name of my game is cost efficiency. We want every dollar to work as hard as possible. College expenses are going to affect one's retirement income someday down the road. So
Right.
you want to preserve your wealth. And the best ways to preserve your wealth in college funding is to get educated, become more familiar with options to pay your share of college without throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak.
Correct.
So there's cheaper money to use and there's expensive money to use. And a lot of parents get caught on their heels and they react and they end up slicing up their pie, not in a good way that adds value to their retirement. So there's a science and an art to orchestrating financial strategies, identifying where money's going south on you and not really accumulating as hard as it can possibly be. But the point is when your child reaches that senior year in high school, you're going to be more aware of what resources are available to pay your share of college if merit-based financial aid doesn't come in or FAFSA doesn't come in. So knowing more of what angle you can choose. Now, this gives you a better understanding of what you can afford and what you can't afford. And again, how's your student performing? You know, is city schools a good outlet? Anyway, what separates my services is we want to make your money work as efficient as possible and maybe even provide a strategy to recover the cost of college
Right.
after you pay for it later throughout your one's life by giving you more options, financial positioning. I know that might sound over the head of a lot of people, but we use a model in order to demonstrate effective cash flow strategies.
Right.
there's no cost.
And I was going to say, and one of the things too is, you know, you do a no obligation assessment, you know, but you offer workshops, and that's really where you teach people how to use those models. Why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about your website, that about your website, and then some of the workshops that you have coming up. I believe there's some that are coming up in the next month, if you want to share with the viewers about that.
Absolutely. You go to collegeplanningfresno.com, and there you'll have a list of future free webinars that you can zoom into. You know what I mean by Zoom. And
Yes.
they're educational college funding and knowing the ropes in the college admissions process. And we talk about the problems with 529 plans too, because that's a real hot button with young parents wanting to start accumulating money for college. So we talk about the good sides and the bad sides of those college specific savings plans, whether to get into them or not. So that's informative. And plus we get in and bring the parent to be more familiar with the lay of the land as they enter this college planning, college admissions kingdom, all the different routes they can take. So we bring awareness to that. But there's also my next webinar is Thursday, April 11th at 6:30 p.m. You can register at College Planning Fresno. I have another one that's identical on Tuesday, April 16th at 6:30 p.m. You can go to collegeplanningfresno.com and register. And then once you've experienced the webinar, we strongly encourage you to get a no-cost assessment about
Right.
your unique circumstances and get you pointed in the right direction. And even it's kind of like it's like the cherry on top from the webinar. Now you're getting a one-on-one candid conversation with a pro that can give you options. We never try to throw ourselves in sales hype and anything like that. We want to take your facts and your situation and give you options. And it's your choice which option you want to take. Yeah.
Exactly. And, before we wrap here, it's people need to understand that, this is not a one size fits all, because each situation is different. And that's why you are such a great guide to help each family customize the plan that's best for their child or children.
Absolutely. We have resources to go to that have credentialed college counselors that do work with students as well. And it just depends on the needs of that family, what kind of level of services you would like to have. And so, like you said, Hope, there's no one plan fits all. It's all unique, and it's an enjoyable experience. It's an educational experience to take a consultation and in a relaxed atmosphere too, either by Zoom or in person.
Well, Scott, from me to you, once again, I thank you for helping me with getting my daughter situated in college and that whole experience. And I know you'll do a great job in helping other families. I thank you so much for joining us today. You are at College Planning Fresno, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And your number is 559-307-6103 if people need to reach out to you.
Text or call me or anytime. You bet.
That sounds great. Scott Carl, thank you so much for joining us today. This is Hope. Thank you. You
Easy.
too.
You're very welcome.
And this is Hope Roski, and we'll be right back. Good afternoon. This is Hope
Hang on,
Ross.
sorry, I made an error. Mike made a mistake, believe it or not. What a shock.
Thanks, Chuck. She's Jeff. Good afternoon. This is Hope Roski with Business, Arts, and Events. Well, are you looking for something fun to do this weekend? Well, if you're sitting there questioning yourself, well, what is it that I'm going to do? Well, I'll tell you, this is going to be a good one. The Antique Show this weekend with Fig Garden Women's Club is an annual event. It's one of a kind. It's the only one from Bakersfield to Fresno. And today we are lucky enough here to have the two co-chairs for this event, Patty Cortez and Kim Gould. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It is so much fun to have you here because the last time you were in, you brought some wonderful things, and today we have even more. And I am just so excited to learn about all the treasures that you have right here with some of these antiques and vintages and the classes that are going to be offered. So let's start a little bit first about we know that it's going to start on Friday and it runs through Sunday. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, it's at 4550 North Van Ness Boulevard on Christmas Tree Lane. And it's our clubhouse, and it's a big white clubhouse on Van Ness. And it's going to be Friday, the 15th from 10 to 6, Saturday, the 16th from 10 to 6, and 17th on Sunday from 11 to 3.
And what's amazing is, you know, through this, you have so many vendors. How many did you get this year, Patty?
We have 15.
15. And it's not just like one type of vendor. Kim, who are some of the vendors that will be there? We know that our friend Patty here will have one of the first booths when you walk in, you go
Yes.
to the right. That'll be Patty's booth, and she'll be there to greet you with all of her wonderful treasures there. But
Well, she has the first booth, and I have the last as far as the Fig Garden Women's Club has the
Yes.
last booth. Our members donate items, and we sell them at the antique show as well. We also have a silver dealer. We have jewelry, costume jewelry, country, primitives, eclectic
Asian, I know
smalls.
you have
Mhm.
some wonderful
Glass.
Yes,
Yes.
and just a little bit of everything.
Uh-huh.
And what's wonderful is if people want to come during lunch, that there's an opportunity for people to purchase their lunch there as well.
Absolutely. It's a really nice thing to do. Come with your friends, have lunch, shop, and then we have some free classes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that. You have classes Friday from 3 to 4 o'clock and then Saturday from 3 to 4 o'clock, and each one is different. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you have going Friday?
Yes, go ahead,
Okay.
Kim.
Well, Friday we have identifying fine jewelry, being able to tell different marks and, fake versus, costume versus fine.
Yes.
And then we have repurposing vintage lighting, and that will be from Wire Boy. And then Saturday at 3, we have setting a pretty Easter table. And then at 4 o'clock, we have the art of afternoon tea.
Oh, I
Yes.
think I think that's such a great variety for people. And this is a $5 donation to get in.
Yes.
It gets you in the entire weekend. And not only that, the classes are free too. So, I mean, what a great experience and wonderful way to spend the day. And at Sunday, at the very end, there's a special auction. Patty, why don't you tell us a little bit about that special auction?
Okay, we have an auctioneer coming from LeGrand, Buster, and Hewlett's, and he has been doing this for like 30 years. And he's coming to us, and he's going to auction off from our tables there, and then he'll auction off the flower arrangements that have been donated by all the people in Fresno. Yes, so he will do that, and that'll start at 3 o'clock.
Oh, that's fabulous. Now, you were talking about one of your classes that identifying the real from the costume. So we are all wearing some pieces. I have this lovely brooch, and I know Patty has the necklace, and you have some, you are like bedazzled over there, my dear. I love it, love it, love the bling. Why don't you kind of give us an education about what we're wearing and how we know if it is the real thing or not? How would one know?
Oh, well, as far as fine versus costume, there's different marks, and there's European marks, there's American marks, and there's different ways to tell. There's different testing methods that you can just do at home. And so you can use a magnifying glass to be able to tell different things. You can have a diamond tester to see if it's diamonds. You can buy all these things on Amazon, actually, to be able to ascertain that.
And one of the things is that Patty and I are both wearing something called Bakelite.
Bakelite.
And
yes.
so this is one of the products that you would look at and say, well, this and what you told me that I'm wearing is extremely valuable. What makes Bakelite valuable?
Okay, well, it was made about 1931 by DuPont, and they started it, and they made furniture, jewelry, and other little items. And then they started after World War II, they started making purses in Bakelite. And Bakelite is a plastic, but it's a very hard plastic, and it's real durable. So they started making different colors, and I have a black one here that is all these are Bakelite.
And I love these little, this is like a triple handle here. I'm not sure if the viewers can tell, but it's just, and
That's
the
1945,
I
that one.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it. And tell us a little bit about this one.
Okay,
right here.
now, the tortoiseshell, the brown or the tan, are, they're the ones that they have found out over the past that they can liquefy. I know, it's crazy. You think you have a treasure and all of a sudden you go to find it and it's in a pile of liquid.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know. And it's only the brown and the tan that do that.
Okay.
The other colors didn't. So I have no idea what they put in the chemical, and it doesn't really say, but those do not last. But the others, there are a lot of collectibles. The ones with the stones on the top or stones in the piece, they're worth a little bit more money. Something like this is worth like $400.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it, but they're highly collectible.
And I'm just so fascinated
And it
by
would-
the shape. I mean, it's just
This shape is
amazing.
for your leg. So when you're carrying it, then it won't.
It does. It fits.
Yeah, it fits.
Like if I'm standing up right here, you can see it just
Yeah.
rests right against the leg. That's
Exactly.
wonderful. And
Yeah. So it's become real popular,
uh-huh.
with the young people too.
They don't make them like they used to. I
No,
tell you.
no, and they don't make it anymore.
A way you can tell Bakelite from plastic is if you rub it and it smells like formaldehyde. And you can do a little pin test too, and it will tell you. It gives you more of a hint. And
Wow.
it's so you can tell.
That's
that-
so.
Yeah.
Tell us about this purse right here. That's just something else. Right
Yeah,
there.
this is my favorite one. Yeah, for some reason I just think it's cool in the way it's shaped. But that's Bakelite too.
And just in the top, you can see the design right there. Has darling little legs on it, and I am absolutely fascinated. Can I open this?
Oh, yes.
I don't want to break anything, so
No,
I'm going to let
no,
Patty
just-
open it here.
No,
there we
just-
go.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And we have
Lovely.
some Bakelite purses that are at the sale. Not only our booth, but I've seen a couple other,
Okay.
antique people that are selling.
And then
them.
Kim, what do you have down there on the end?
Well, these have been donated by our members. This is a pin from the 1940s, and the designer is Hobie, Hobe. It's extremely valuable and just really interesting. And
Oh,
so
wow.
we'll find a lot. You don't know what you're going to find there. And all the dealers are really friendly. They're happy to answer questions. And this also was donated by one of our members, actually a past president.
cool.
And it's from Tiffany, and it's a
Ooh.
bridge set. But you could use it for poker or bunco. And there's a set of 8 at our club, and it'll be at the Fig Garden.
Or canasta, that's the game I play.
Anything with a card,
Anything
right?
with a
Or
card.
just, it's really nice.
Yeah.
But again, it's from Tiffany.
Oh,
So,
and it
yes.
has the logo on it too.
Yes, yes.
That's cool.
It's just two little items we'll have at our Fig Garden booth.
Well, I think that it's just so wonderful that you have come down here to share what, all the people here in Fresno. It's open to anyone who wants to come in to make that $5 donation, visit these amazing booths, and really just get an education. And, one of the other shows I do is Weddings and Celebrations, and I think it's important for those viewers to know why, the antiques and these pieces, why would it be kind of a fun thing for a newly married couple to get involved with something like this too?
Well, I would say you can find things that are unusual that you're not going to see in your friend's home. Say it's aftermarket, it's not brand new, it's good for the environment. It's also good for, the prices are lower than usually you pay for new things. There are exceptions, obviously.
Sure.
But, they're mostly it's different, it's unusual, and you can make it your own. You can just put your stamp on it, and you can repurpose things. If you buy a crystal dish, you don't have to put candy in it like they did in the 50s. You can put soaps by your sink. So there's lots of different ways to repurpose vintage items.
I think
And we have a
that's
lot of
great.
china if you're starting out and you want to really take it up a notch. Yeah.
There you go. Well, viewers, again, if you're looking for something wonderful to do this weekend, please stop by the Fig Garden Women's Club. Again, it's going to be this Friday, and it ends on Sunday, the 17th, St. Patty's Day. So maybe find something and get a little luck in your life. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Patty Cortez and incoming President Kim Gould of the Fig Garden Women's Club. We will look forward to seeing you this week, and thank you for
Thank you.
coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you there.
I love living in my town, everywhere I go. There's friendly people who make a difference. There's no better place I know. I got everything here I need. I'm as free as the air I breathe. It's a good life, good times. Everybody I know is a friend of mine. This is home, just where I wanna be. This is home, this place is a part of me. My home, your home, our home. People around here call me one of their own. Yeah, yeah, this is home. This is home. Yeah, I've been different places. I've been around. But I love the familiar faces of my hometown. Been there, done that. Feels good to be here in the old time zone. This is home, the only place I can breathe. This is home, got everything I really need. My home, your home, our home. People around here call me one of their own. Yeah,
Hello, this is Hope Roski with Business, Arts, and Events. Well, there's a special event that is coming up in April, actually two. One of them is a happy hour and another one is a ride. And the ride is not just for motorcycles, it's for vehicles too. And I'd like to introduce to you today Darren Marcella with North Fresno Rotary. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Hope.
And you are also the president of Honor Our Military Vets, correct?
That's
Okay. So, Darren, there are a few things coming up. Let's first start with the ride. Let's talk a little bit about the ride that's coming up. This is a big one, and the purpose of it, because it's called Raise the Roof, and there's a specific reason why you titled it that.
Absolutely, Hope. And to tell on that, the roof collapsed last summer, and these guys are still taking on leaks from water. And the roof is going up, the trusses are up, and they have to wait for the rain to stop, which is about next week. And they'll be able to continue to install the roof. And thankfully to the city of Fresno, they got a donation of $150,000 3 weeks ago, and that helps continue the construction on the roof. But then they're still continuing ongoing construction inside the building.
And this is for the VFW building. I just want to make this clear. These are for our Central Valley veterans, correct?
That is correct.
Because they had two HVAC units literally collapse their roof. I mean, that's pretty intensive. And now it's not just the reconstruction of the roof, but they're also dealing with leaks. And so this is a big fix that is not covered by tax dollars. This is taking other donations to really make this rectified and to help these veterans out. Because this is their home place. This is where they also have events and things too, correct?
That is correct, Hope. They thrive and survive on renting that hall out, and that's what keeps them alive. It's like a forward operating base, but it's here in the United States,
Right.
representing those that fought, men and women, since World War I. It's like a representation. We're honoring them. We got to keep that hall open. We have to keep that income going, and in order to do that, we've got to get the roof back on.
Yes, absolutely. And I know that one of our TV affiliates, ABC 30, did a big story on this. And, you know, it's this ride that's coming up is very important. And we mentioned that it's not just the motorcycles. People can do this in their cars as well. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the ride that's coming up?
Yes, really excited about the ride. Anything on wheels. You bring your tricycle out as far as you can go. If you want to do circles, awesome. But we'd love to have you out there. It's going to be a great ride. You're going to have a good route to go on. We're taking off from Herwalt Motorsports and heading east into the hills, Toll House up to Whiskey and Wood Designs. We're going to have lunch there. And then hang out for about an hour and head up a little bit more for a scenic route, head back down and end at the brewing company there at Crow and Wolf.
Yes, exactly. And it's $40, which really is very minimal, and it's going to a good cause. I know that you were very blessed to have some wonderful sponsors that also are making things happen, and I know you wanted to give a shout out to them.
I really do. I'm really super stoked to have these people step up without hesitation and help us out. They sponsor or donations. I just want to call out a shout out to Eddie Arkalian, Chris Pacheco, John Oslin, Carrie Bernard, Tracy Zollis, Joe Newcomb, Tamsin Munger, Peter Castanos, Lalo Sanchez, David Lazau for the artwork, Herwalt Motorsports, Whiskey Wood Designs, and also the construction, J.I. Garcia, who was able to get a lot of this donated and labor, time, at cost, whatever it is. These guys stepped up to the plate, and you can actually see the construction going on right now. You can drive over there. So if you donated today, you can go see how your dollars are going to work for you. And it's as simple as, we don't need large donations. It would be great, but you have 500,000 people in Fresno. If everyone just donated 50 cents, put a
Right.
50-cent stamp on it, the problem is solved.
Exactly. And, you know, some people may not be able to make the event coming up on that weekend of the 27th, correct? But they can still donate. How would they donate if they just want to make a flat donation?
Yeah, great question. You can actually go on to, it's on the screen in front of you at RSVPY at raisetheroofride.com. And you can also reach out to us on Facebook and be happy to help you find the right way to donate. Also, we have our happy hour coming up.
Exactly.
Appetite, yeah.
That's right. And that's at Ovidio's. And thanks to Rocco Paolilli and his family, they're donating a section of their restaurant so the happy hour can go from 4 to 7. There's going to be wonderful food and also a silent auction. It's a $50 donation to be able to come to that, but people do need to RSVP as well.
Yes, please RSVP for that. We're going to have a great time Thursday night, happy hour, hors d'oeuvres. Hors d'oeuvres are on us, happy hour is on you. $50 donation. Stop by, say hello, and you'll be home in time to eat dinner with your wife or spouse and watch Netflix. It's easy.
And who knows, maybe even at that point, you'll have enough appetizer food where you're like, I may not even need dinner.
Maybe not even eat it.
Yes, exactly. So, 2 wonderful events coming up next month. So again, mark your calendars for the happy hour. And that, again, is at Ovidio's Restaurant. It's on the corner of Marks and Bullard. And again, thanks to the Paolilli family for making that happen. And again, we have the ride on the 27th. What time is registration? What time do kickstands go up?
Yeah, great question. Registration's from 9 to 11. We're going to have a ceremony for the first half hour. We're going to honor our Native Americans veterans as well as our Purple Heart recipients.
Fabulous.
And then a little bit of coffee, refreshments, and then kickstands up right around 10:30.
And we'd also like to thank Karsh's Catering because they are going to provide the lunches for the riders. And we really appreciate Karsh's Catering driving up there and having the lunches ready.
You guys are
For
going to get
riders.
a great lunch up there from Karsh's Catering. Also, we have a really cool T-shirt, but please let us know ahead of time so we can get your sizes. RSVP with us to get that size. We may be sold out once you get there. We also have some cool bandanas available to purchase as well.
So on Facebook or Instagram, they're going to go to honor our military vets, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so again, you can either reach out to the website that's up on the screen, or you can go onto Instagram or Facebook. Darren, Marcella, I thank you so much for coming on the show today. This is such a great cause. I am also glad to be a part of it, and we look forward to seeing you again and wishing you all the best in this endeavor.
Yeah, thank you, Hope, and thank you for helping out. I couldn't do it without you.
All righty, this is Hope Roski, and we'll be right back. Hello, this is Hope Roski with Business Arts Events. Well, today I'm going to introduce you to a gentleman by the name of Gavin Gear. Bless you, Gavin. And Gavin is amazing because he is a part of Logix Biosciences. And Gavin, to even begin to, for the viewers to understand, give us a little bit about your background and how you developed this company, which is absolutely fascinating.
Sure. We started in 2009 when I had a problem with heartburn and I couldn't tolerate the drugs. And so I did a little research and I discovered that heartburn is really a function of a bacteria problem. And when they were testing me for E. coli, and that's one of a gazillion bacteria that you've got in your body.
Sure.
And I was always negative. And so I made my own medicine. I figured out how to do it, and I ended up going to New Zealand, where I'm from, and a friend of mine who's a pharmacologist introduced me to a man that made medical grade Manuka honey. So that's not the honey the Manuka honey that you see in the grocery store. This is a medical grade, and it's in wound care dressings. And my brother makes those. And so that man became my brother because we have such a common interest in helping people. His mission was to reduce pain and suffering. And I thought, uh-oh, I'm married to you. Like that idea. And so that's what we're in. We're in the business of reducing pain and suffering with Manuka honey.
So
So
what is,
really-
yes.
go ahead.
So I was going to say, what is exactly in Manuka honey that makes it so unique and so powerful and a remedy healer?
The literature that you read on Google will talk about methyl glyoxal. And methyl glyoxal is in Manuka honey, and that's what they say makes it so powerful. I would gently disagree. You can take the methyl glyoxal out of the honey, and it still is natural. It still does everything that the honey did before you took the methyl glyoxal out. It's actually the peptides. And in a lot of modern medicine, even cancer drugs, we see peptides being used. And so we've got our nasal sprays on a path for drug approval based on the peptides, not on the methyl glyoxal.
Wow, that's, to me, that's absolutely fascinating. I mean, for me, you're taking me back to some of my classes my science classes, and I just love this. One of the things, and I'm a big pet person, and I love dogs. And one of my former dogs suffered terribly with hot spots, and it just seemed like there was nothing that we could do to help decrease the discomfort and them occurring. But amazingly, you have a source and a product for hot spots for pets. Can you tell us about that, please?
Yeah, we call ourselves the Hotspot Terminator.
I love it. Love it.
I didn't know this, but I've got a husky and he's 6 years old and he's 74 pounds. So he's more wolf than husky. And he'll get an itch or something like that and he'll lick it until it bleeds.
Yes.
And all I do is dip my finger in a jar of our honey, our medical grade honey, and I rub it on the hot spot. And of course, he's right in there with his nose and starts to lick the honey off. But what we discovered the first time we did this was the first time we did it, we tried everything we could to stop him licking the honey off. And it was really hard because a 74-pound husky is one bundle of muscle. And so, but today we just put the honey on with our fingers and let him lick it off. And what we learned is he's licking the honey into the wound. And some of it's going in his mouth, but enough of it is being licked into the hot spot that it quiets the hot spot. And you only do it once. Come back tomorrow morning and he's a happy dog, totally ignoring that hot spot.
That's
Won't go back there again. One I put 2 fingers in the honey pot, rub it on the hot spot, and I'm done. I don't care if he licks it off.
And that's incredible because not only, I mean, you think about you don't even have to rub it in. They're actually doing it themselves by licking it
work.
in.
Yeah,
And getting it in.
I've had 9 dogs, and over my lifetime, and normally when you get a hot spot, you've got to put one of those big things around their
Yes,
face
yes.
so
The
they can't
cones, the big cones.
cone. Yeah,
It's
and
terrible
then
for the
you look at the
dogs.
bill and you go, "Holy moly, that cone cost me XYZ dollars." Heavens above! Well, now you buy a $60 jar of honey and you go, and it's done. And then you put the honey away until next time, just like you do with Tylenol, you know?
Right. So, what is the expiration on something like that? I mean, how long does it last until you would have to, per se, get another?
Yeah, well, they took honey out of the Egyptian tombs 3,000 years old, and it was fine. Um, we follow the FDA regulations for dietary supplements because this is considered a dietary supplement, and we put 4 years on it, but it doesn't expire. But most people will, I'll give you an example. I have a lady right now treating a wound on a horse, and so she decided she would try this honey and she started eating it. And now she's addicted to the honey. She loves what it does for her regularity. I'm allowed to use that word.
Yes, you are. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I think, for the animals and for whoever needs it for their wounds, it's definitely a great source. I'm going to transition a little bit here because we're going to go from hot spots to nasal care. And when we talk, a lot of people suffer with allergies and chronic sinus infections, and we're in the springtime now where people are really feeling that effect of the sinus issues, and keeping the nose free and clear is essential. You have a product and that I would love for you to share with the viewers that really will help them through times like this.
Sure. I was in New Zealand and I had a meeting with Professor Peter Molan, and he's the man that discovered the Manuka honey being used in New Zealand by the indigenous people, and they're called Maoris. And he found them putting this honey on wounds, and he was fascinated because these wounds were infected. And so I met with him at his university, and he said to me, "Gavin, make a nasal spray." "Peter, why don't you make a nasal spray?" And I've tried to make a nasal spray, but it ferments. And so that was my first experience of honey fermenting. And so that's why you can't make a nasal spray at home with honey, because it'll ferment and you'll be in trouble. And it took us 4 years to figure out how to prevent the honey from fermenting when we put water in it without using a preservative, because you don't want to put a chemical preservative up the nose. The tissues are so delicate,
Yes.
and we finally figured out how to do it, and so now it's safe to put in the nose, but it's hydroscopic, and so it makes a lot of water. And I have to laugh at some of the nasal sprays because they talk about no drip. Well, if you use my nasal spray, you better have some tissues ready.
Okay.
It's gonna wash.
Mm-hmm.
Doing is we're washing out whatever's in there. We're giving it a thorough cleaning that saline, which does a pretty good job, can't do. Saline can't do what we do. And people hold up our nasal spray, and because I interview them on Zoom, and they'll say, "This is the best nasal spray in the world," or "I've used this nasal spray and I can't believe how well it works. I've had nasal problems for 20 years and now I can go to work every day." This kind of stuff, I had one lady in a text say to me, "Gavin, you gave me my life back."
That's incredible. And, it's many people are looking for those alternatives. They go to a doctor and maybe they can't get that resolve that they need, but you have 12 different products and people can go on your website. Can you tell the viewers where they can log on to view some of the products that you do offer?
It's called manukagard.com, and I'll hold up a jar of honey and you might be able to see the logo. Can you? Oh, no, that's too small.
And that's MANUKA, manukagard.com. And the products, there are various products that you have, not just these, but others too, that people can take a look.
Yeah, I think the second product we made before we did the nasal spray was the cough syrup, and we made it in New Zealand because they had a strep throat cough problem down there. And so we used some botanicals in the syrup with the honey, and darn me if we didn't stop kids with strep throat from coughing. And it works wonderful. It just stops cough. Um, Cough syrups are notoriously famous for not stopping cough. There's nothing in them that can actually work to resolve a cough. And so even if you've got an irritated throat from being out in a dusty field or something, ours works.
Well, Gavin, I thank you so much for being on the show today and really educating our viewers about some of the products that you offer and what they can do to help benefit and improve your health. Again, you go to www.manukagard.com to continue to look at your products. And is there anything that you would like to, as we wrap up, share with the viewers?
Sure. On the website, there's an 800 number, and there's also a place where you can email us, and I'm happy to talk to anybody anytime. Quite often, it's 4 or 5 people a day that I get that have a question, and mostly it's about how much do I take, or what does UMF mean, or a question about the product. And so we're happy to help with all of that.
I think that's wonderful because many times people will reach out and they don't get that human side to it, and it's great that you will be able to feel that for them. I think that's absolutely wonderful. Gavin Gear, I thank you so much for joining us today. Logix Biosciences, you have some amazing products out, and I think the viewers should really try to investigate and take a look, especially if they're looking for that alternative way to cure some problems.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you so much. This is Hope Roski, and we will see you in just a bit. Good afternoon. This is Hope Roski with Weddings and Celebrations. Well, do I have an amazing treat for you. We have Cindy Sensatong, who is here today, and she is truly the cuticle queen. You know, people have talked about nail art, they've talked about nail design, but I'm telling you, no pun intended, hands down, this lady over here has got it. Cindy, welcome to the show.
Hi, welcome. I'm so glad to be here.
Yes, and you know, Cindy, how did you wind up getting into nails? What was your draw into nail, and especially nail art?
You know, I've always been artistic since I was little, teaching myself how to draw, but my best friend is actually the reason why I got into it because she always had nice nails. So I wanted nice nails, so I learned to do them myself.
Okay, so if you can just once again hold up for the camera here, your nails. Each one of these nails, I am telling you, has something special on them. And it's just, these are your own creations that you have designed.
Yes.
And some of the clientele you have worked with, I mean, is just, it goes from A to Z.
Yes, it does.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about, you know, some of the, we'll start with, of course, the wedding portion of it. What are some of the designs that you have done for people who are going to the altar? Or brides?
I've actually done like something more on the simple and subtle side because no one wants to outshine their dress or even their ring.
Right.
So it's kind of more of like little ombres, French tips. Sometimes there's a little bit of stones there. You can see here like that has some chrome on it. But I feel like when it comes to weddings, like bachelorette nails are kind of where they decide they want to get more fun because you could be colorful, you know? I feel like when they're doing their actual wedding nails, they don't want to go overboard.
Right, because the attention is to really be on the bride.
Yes.
But during that bachelorette part of it, it's a little bit more vivid and colorful. So what are some of the embellishments that you use in your nail designs?
Well, I've used rhinestones, Swarovskis to be exact, but nowadays, you know, we can't get Swarovskis anymore. Like, they kind of stopped selling it to the world. But we do have some Australian stones that I do put in there, and they're like the second best. I also use gold chains. I've used pearls. Those kind of go well with weddings as well. That's kind of about it.
But one of the things that you have on your left hand, you have, which, you know, gummy bears. So actually for like even a birthday celebration, you know,
Yes.
and even with, you know, the younger teen group who are kind of into that, what a great way to kind of pop that color and do that.
Yeah, so 3D has actually been something that's a thing now. And even, you know, this weekend, I'm doing a 3D set for bachelorette nails. So that's going to be interesting. I can't wait to post those so you guys can all see that. But it can really range from anywhere because your nails are... they kind of express how you are, who you are. And it's always going to be different for every person.
Sure.
And like someone can have wedding nails and it be gold, you know, to match their jewelry.
Of course.
Like gold chrome. I feel like there's no wrong way to do art because you're creating something and it's different. And there's always someone for everyone.
That's right. And every person is different in what they want. And what I love is that you basically customize the design for each person, which I think is incredible. One of the things is we were talking about, because this is weddings and celebrations, you do some fun little party type things too.
Yes.
And you get into some comic type nails and a little bit more of the, you know, just a little bit, I would call like kind of comic pop in some of your work. And that's where your artistry really comes in. Why don't you tell the viewers about that?
Yeah, so here, the Grinch, I did hand paint him myself. I actually created that ornament myself. And then for, if there's concerts, like I did hand paint celebrities as well. So I hand paint a lot because I like to show the skill and the difference that I can do, like what I can do that others can't. I
Yes.
feel like that's what kind of stands me out. And
Wouldn't it be fun to do if you're getting married and you paint your groom on your finger?
that's doable.
That's
I
doable.
could do
See,
that.
We just kind of came up with
And
that
you know
here,
what?
right?
For you guys that want to save your, nails that can be expensive or whatnot, like press-ons have really become a thing. People have paid $200 for press-ons to wear, and they can rewear them if they want and save them in a box if they want.
So what type of special product are you using for the press-on?
We have sticky tabs where they can just kind of stick them on and they'll last the day. Or you can use nail glue and glue them on and they'll last up to 2 to 3 weeks. But even after using nail glue, I feel like once you kind of, like they start to come off, like after one wear, it's still pretty, like the well underneath is still pretty there, so they're reusable as long as you didn't damage them during your first wear.
Oh, wow.
So
Now, how long of a process is this? Wait, if you were going to come in and get like a full set like what you have, or
Mm-hmm.
and you mentioned too that you don't do it just always long.
No,
that
yeah.
that you're communicating with the
Yeah.
client. But how long would somebody expect? Because if you're getting a great deal of embellishment, it's going to take a little bit more time than even just like a basic French.
So getting extra embellishments and rhinestones and charms, I'd say somewhere about 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours.
And I think that's good for viewers to know, because you don't want to just block out an hour of time that you might
No,
typically
yeah.
do. You want to just make sure that you are really going to sit down and just, let Cindy do her work her magic on your nails.
Yes, and
which
I
is
feel
great.
like you can't really rush art. And I can say that I am someone that is going to take my time to make sure that I think it's okay once you walk out. Every angle that you look at, there's nothing that you can say that's wrong.
And it's not just being a nail tech. This is a form of artistry, and
Yeah.
people are basically wearing your art. And you do travel different places.
Mm-hmm.
What are some places where, like, if people are out of the Fresno area, where will you travel?
I have done artwork and nails. I have worked and traveled in the Bay Area, and then I have traveled down to LA. But I'm honestly willing to travel wherever.
Yes,
But up and down the Central Valley is fine with me.
and if you're local, you're in business, because she's right down here in the Tower
Yes, I
District,
am.
right?
Down the street.
Just down the street from Central Valley Talk, which is just a wonderful central location. And how can people get in touch with you, Cindy?
My social media right now, I do have my Instagram. Also on there in my bio, I have a link to book an appointment. So there's a booking
fascinating.
link.
There's a booking link. Okay, great. So again, viewers, if you're looking for something unique with your nails, and truly just a special work of art, please contact Cindy, the Cuticle Queen. She is, to really be here in studio and to see this work is, honestly, it is something to behold. Cindy, I thank you so much for taking the time to come on our show, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you too. I appreciate it. I really enjoyed being here. So glad to be here.
This is Hope Roski with Weddings and Celebrations.
No, I cut my hair like a couple years back, and I'm so mad at myself that I did it. I did it for some like stupid guy. I cut my hair because he's like, I like
It
girls with short
happens.
hair, so I cut it.
You live and you learn.
Yep. And so I've been trying to grow it out since.
The good thing about cutting your hair off, it grows back.
No, exactly. Yeah, and healthier too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't actually cut mine probably, it's been 4 years and 2 monts now.
Oh wow.
And the last time I cut it, I actually shaved it to
So like
a
no
2.
trim or anything.
No
like
trim or
that?
anything.
Oh wow, good for you. Yeah.
Is your hair permed or
No, it's
naturally
naturally
wavy?
curly.
Wow.
I just get it wet and it does this.
Wow.
So lucky.
It's so much work though. Like it takes me like 30 minutes just to brush it out to shower.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I heard. I've always, like, my mom has curly hair, and then I had a really close friend that has super pretty curly hair, and I was always like, I wish I had curly hair. Straight hair is so boring. And she's like, it's so much work, though. And I'm like,
It is.
yeah, but it's
You always
prettier."
want what you can't
Yeah,
have, right?
exactly.
Right. Well, I wish my hair was straight.
No, exactly. I remember, like, my close friend and I, we went down to Santa Barbara, and when we were getting ready in the morning, I had my curling iron curling my hair, and she had her straighten her. We were right next to each other
Right?
doing that.
We just switch hair for the day.
No, exactly.
So how long have you been in, working in the drug and alcohol rehab?
So I've been a counselor for about 7 years. I've been with Aegis for about a year and a half now.
Okay.
Awesome.
How did you get involved with it?
My husband's significantly older than me, and he was like, I think you should go to school so that, like, if anything ever happens to me, you can take care of yourself. And I was like, I'm going to be a therapist. And he's like, whoa, slow down.
Yeah.
He's all, used to be a drug counselor. You have a lot of experience with drugs and alcohol, and your brother's an addict, and, it would be something you have job security because there's always going to be problems with addiction. And,
Right.
It's something that, he thought I would be good at because I went to school to be a drug pharmacy technician. In my early 20s, and I never
Jerry,
finished.
Did you see the screen? Did I spell your name correctly?
Yes,
And telehealth counselor correctly?
yes,
And Pinnacle Treatment Centers?
yes,
And the website and phone number looks good?
yes, sir.
Excellent.
And it is like cherry.
Cherry like the fruit. So
Cherry,
my
just
real name
like
is Sharissa,
Okay.
but like I don't go by that.
Yeah,
So-
okay. I saw that on.
Cherry and
No. That's why I crossed my name off the little paper. I was like, Cherry, let's keep it simple, not like a lot
love
of
Cherry.
typing. I like it too. That's why I've been going by it for like 15 years.
Oh, that's so cool. I always wanted a cool nickname, but my name is one syllable. It's Faith. It's like, what nickname are you gonna get out of that?
So that's how I got a nickname. My best friend's name is Brooke.
Oh,
and
really?
Sharissa was too many syllables for her.
Right.
So she like took the SSA off and that left CH.
Good afternoon. This is Hope Roski with Business Arts and Events, and today is really a special interview for me today. Not only do I have Sherry Robertson from Pinnacle Treatment Centers,
Pinnacle
but-
Treatment Centers, yes.
and then I have my daughter here, Faith Roski, who is a Barrett Honors College student from Arizona State University here, who is going to join in the conversation. Faith is a psychology major. And today we're going to focus in on the topic of alcohol and what's happening in today's society with alcohol. And ever since COVID, the numbers seem to be increasing with addiction and deaths. Maybe you can just start to address that.
So, we've seen, statistically, we've seen from 2021 to 2022 that alcohol accident related fatalities have actually gone up by about 16%, which is, looking at the numbers, I can't remember the exact numbers right now, but I know that the difference is 190 more from 1 year to the next year, which is a big jump. 16% is a big amount. Another thing, I graduated with my bachelor's last year from Fresno State in sociology.
Congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you.
One of the classes that I took, I actually wrote a paper about the impact of COVID-19 on the increase in alcohol use.
Amen to that.
And it's not something that just happened. It was a big deal. When COVID happened and we had the shelter in place, they shut down AA meetings. They shut down NA meetings. they shut down a lot of treatment programs because they deemed them as non-essential. You know, mostly medical stuff stayed open, but a lot of programs shut down or were unsure whether they could stay open or not. But AA and NA, which is, you know, one of the most successful programs, even if it's not like a legitimate treatment program, it's one of the most successful programs in helping keep people sober. What happens when people can't go to those meetings? Well, guess what? They relapse.
Of course.
You know, so we've seen a huge increase in relapses on not just alcohol, but all drugs during that time. You know, but alcohol was a very big deal. One of the statistics that I found, one of the journal articles that I wrote my paper on had information about how it's not just regular people whose alcohol consumption increased, but they saw a huge increase in healthcare workers drinking alcohol and developing addictions. And it was huge because of the fact that, like, you know, they mandated all these vaccines, which put a lot of stress on people. Do I want to take this vaccine? Do I want to risk getting COVID? You know, they put these mandates out. People, do I choose between my job or my body and my right to get this vaccine? You know, and then on top of that, you know, we had all these people coming into hospitals with COVID, and you know, families can't come in to visit these people. It put a lot of stress on our nurses and our doctors. And so I can't remember the name of the particular article it was, but they talked about how there was just this huge increase in alcohol use in our healthcare industry.
Right.
You know, and it's just so sad because, you know, alcohol is so socially acceptable, but it wreaks some of the most havoc on the body and the mind.
And what makes it the most dangerous is it's the most socially acceptable. Yeah.
Well, and we already know what happened with prohibition and why we don't make it illegal.
Right.
You know, why it has Surgeon General warnings and why we have an age limit and all that. But it doesn't change the fact that the social acceptability of it is what leads to people thinking, oh, you know what? I can have a little bit of alcohol and I'll be fine. Which, you know, for some people, you can recreationally do that and it's not a big deal. But the more you drink, the less control you have. Alcohol works heavily on the prefrontal cortex of the brain.
Oh, yeah.
That's the part of the brain that controls your executive functioning. That's the part of the brain that controls memory formation. That's the part of the brain that controls your self-control, your impulse control, just, you know, decision making. All that happens in the prefrontal cortex. And when you put alcohol in the body, the frontal lobe is the part of the brain that is most affected by alcohol use. And it's so sad because, you know, we know all this, but it doesn't stop people from drinking. And because of the social acceptability of it, oh, I can drink every night when I get off work to blow off steam and I'm not an addict. Well, are you sure? Do you depend upon that substance to help you decompress at the end of the day?
Right.
Because if
Versus
you do, that's
versus like saying I'm going to have a meal and I'm just going to enjoy this wine with my meal and I'm going to be responsible about how I'm going to have like that glass, maybe two, and then stop. And that's the whole part. Faith, maybe you can address like what happened, you know, during that time of COVID in college with alcohol and talk about what your observations were.
Right. Okay. So what I was just thinking about is, so the increase in short form content that was being consumed during COVID was huge, obviously, because you're stuck inside, you're bored. So obviously you're going to be on social media, the short form content, so that immediate gratification and whatnot. And so now that things have started to pick back up, people have to be much more comfortable in their boredom, especially in my generation. And my generation is not as comfortable with boredom. You know, you used to be in the car, okay, look out the window, whatever it is, or, you know, do the raindrop race, you know? and now it's, you have these kids that need their iPad, whatnot. And so now say you're bored at home, you don't have anything to do, you got home from a long day of work, whatever it is, and you're just sitting there like, well, I'm bored. So I'm going to crack one open, you know? And so now it's become habitual and it's become even more socially acceptable because of that. And now just with people also just being highly adapted to being inside and to not going out and doing things that may be different than consumption, the habits are more likely for that.
No, it definitely is. And I totally agree with you on that because
Right.
we, you know, in my generation, you know, I was born in 1990. So I grew up in the 90s where we transitioned from not having that type of technology to by the time I was 15, I had my first cell phone that had internet on it. Yeah. You know, and that was when the iPhone came out and when people started having smartphones and all that stuff. And, you know, what I've seen in my experience, you know, as a kid, we went outside and played.
Right.
We went to the library to look stuff up.
Exactly.
We walked to the library and looked stuff up in encyclopedias. Nowadays, kids are so overstimulated by their devices. They're, here, sit in front of this video game. Here, sit in front of this TV. Here, sit in front of this tablet. Here's my cell phone. Play some games. You know, so that when they have nothing else going on, no meaningful activities or hobbies, then guess what? They're going to look for an escape from that boredom.
Right.
And how do people escape? Well, if you don't have good coping skills, you drink alcohol, you use drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are some of the things, you know, one of the buzzwords you just used are coping skills.
Yeah.
What are some good coping skills for people to maybe turn to when they feel like, okay, I'm bored, there's nothing to do? What's a good way to get out of that feeling? What would you suggest?
So my suggestion is any meaningful activity and hobby that you have. You know, most people, when they hear that term coping skills, they think it's got to be some special talent or specific thing that they have to know how to do or be good at. I can tell you, reading a book is a coping skill. Going for a walk is a coping skill. Taking a bubble bath is a coping skill. You know, making a good meal or eating a dessert just for a quick treat, those are coping skills. Talking to your mom on the phone, that's a coping skill.
Hear that, Faith?
You know, like it's literally whatever makes you feel better in that moment. You know,
Right.
maybe you have anxiety and you need to cope with that. Normally you drink. Well, do some meditation or some stretching or some deep breathing exercises to relax. You know, go get your nails done. You know, do something that makes
Right.
you feel good. If you're a guy, go get a shave and a haircut. You know, that helps relax, that reduces anxiety. You're having depression, take a hot shower. Watch a funny video on YouTube. Those are coping skills.
I really like that most of the things that you brought up didn't necessarily require you to buy something.
Yeah.
Because that's also a huge reason why people are staying inside more lately, is just because they don't have the financial resources to be able to maybe go get some fancy gym membership or whatever it is,
Yeah.
but they can absolutely take a shower or cook a meal for themselves at home.
Or take a walk or
Yeah,
a
take a
hike
walk,
or
yeah.
something. It doesn't bike ride. It doesn't cost
Right.
anything. One of the things I took a training a while back, and they talked about people who had family members that have had addiction to alcohol, how just even in the brain is kind of set for that person of the next generation or passed down, that if they start to drink, that can really pick up alcoholism quickly into that person's system. Can you address that, please?
So there's what we call biological, environmental, and social factors involved in people becoming addicted.
Right.
You know, and so genetic factors, biological is going to be you have a history of addiction in your family. You know, that is a known cause of, you know, that generational cycle of addiction.
Sure.
Also, environmental things, you know, being raised in trauma or in a bad neighborhood, or, you know, having bad parents or having somebody leave, not being able to cope with those things as a child can ultimately lead to alcohol use. Social cues, peer pressure, biggest, you know, factor in people starting to use, especially in early adolescence, high school, and college. You want to be the cool kid, right? Well, guess what? Everybody else is doing it. You know what my dad used to say is, everybody else is jumping off a bridge. Do you do too?
Do you do the same?
Only if
Yeah,
I got
my
a
mom
parachute.
didn't.
But you know, but the thing is, you know, we have peer pressure our entire lives, no matter what age we are. We get peer pressure at work. We get peer pressure from our friends. We get peer pressure from our family. You know, from relatives, and you know, junior high, high school, elementary school, college. You know, you want to fit in. You want to be accepted. We're social creatures, and that's just the way we are.
Right.
You know, and so when everybody else is drinking, I'm going to have just one drink. Well, cool. That one drink is great. But now your judgment is a little bit impaired by that one drink. You might not have enough self-control to say no to a second.
Well, one of the biggest, what I would say, drinking celebrations is coming up this Sunday, which is St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
And Faith actually had worked at a place where it was an Irish tavern.
Yes.
And
Which I loved working at.
She
It was
loved
amazing.
She
I loved
loved
the
working there.
people.
But at the same time, like St. Patty's Day, what made that a little bit different than maybe the other days?
Oh, it was definitely intense because you get people that are really, really rowdy in there, and you know, that's just that's a very, very small sliver of that whole prefrontal cortex. You're not judging correctly and whatnot, and you would see people getting more violent. You would see just things escalating way more quickly. Also, there were times on the job during that day where things happened that I wasn't maybe okay with. Comments were made towards me by, maybe a customer and whatnot that probably would not have been made, say there wasn't that sort of social endorsement for drinking and that behavior to be present, if that makes any sense.
Sure. And so how can people help themselves on that day?
So obviously, St. Patty's Day is one of the hugest drinking holidays. Every year we have, New Year's Eve is a huge drinking holiday. Christmas is a drinking holiday. Halloween is a drinking holiday.
Thanksgiving
is a drinking
It's
holiday.
crazy because, our country keeps adding more and more of these holidays, National whatever day, this thing. There's always some occasion. There's always something there,
Well, we all know that old song, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And so, but the thing is, with these kind of holidays, especially for people in recovery, you have to have a plan. And I talked about this a little bit the last time I was on the show with Mike about having an exit plan for parties or gatherings or family get-togethers where there's going to be alcohol or other drugs present. Now, obviously, we're in California. Marijuana is recreationally legal, so that's a big,
Sure.
something that could be a trigger for a lot of people as well. But alcohol specifically, it's such a big thing for St. Patty's Day. We got green beer. We got all these bar crawls, pub crawls,
Right.
bar hopping, whatever, and on top of that, commercially, we see everywhere, go over there by Fresno State. You'll see a huge Fresno State Budweiser sign, Bud Light or whatever, the beer is. You see all these different advertisements for these things during these times of year that we have these big holidays. It's on TV. It's at the gas station. It's at the grocery store. It's at your restaurant. It's at the pizza place.
Little
It's
subliminal cues.
Yes, and you might not notice these things consciously, but subconsciously you're picking up on these, and that reinforces that social acceptability of alcohol. And the biggest thing that we can do for people who struggle with alcohol use is minimize those cues as much as possible. If there's a drinking holiday coming up, make plans with your sober friends to go do something else somewhere else.
Right.
If you're going to, say, a family get-together, maybe you're Irish, you're going to go see your family for St. Patty's Day, and they're going to be drinking. Have a plan for that. Have an exit plan that says, hey, I'm going to show up, I'm going to say hi to these people, then I'm going to give an excuse to leave, and I'm going to leave. Oh, I have to work tomorrow, especially because it's on Sunday this year.
Right.
Great exit plan. Hey, as much as
Working
I'd like to
Monday
stay,
morning.
I have to work
Right.
Monday morning. I can't stay very long. I can't even have one drink because I'm driving, and just have a plan for it. There's not much we can do about the fact that alcohol is so prevalent in our communities other than educate people, put the information out there, and be supportive of those who need help with it.
Well, Sherry, I could sit here and I could talk to you all day, and I think we would all be able to contribute, something, but your knowledge is amazing. How can if we have viewers that have further questions or need assistance, how could people get in touch with you?
So with me personally, I have a business card, but you can always contact Aegis Treatment Center here in Fresno. The company I work for is Pinnacle Treatment Center. I'm a telehealth counselor that works from home for various clinics throughout California, but I'm very connected in our treatment community in Fresno, and I have access to people at all the different treatment centers. But the biggest thing is if you really need help in Fresno County and you need treatment, like right now, I'd just be a middleman. Dial 211 on your phone, and that will get you connected to our county resources that will actually help you find a treatment program that fits your needs.
That's wonderful. Well, again, Jerry, thank you so much for coming in. And I think what we discussed today was so valuable at so many different levels in faith. It was a pleasure having you on too, my dear, because you gave, just from that college point of view and from that Gen Z group kind
Absolutely.
of what's happening. This is Hope Roski with Business Arts Events. It's St. Patrick's Day this Sunday. Please be careful. Take care.